Hello and welcome to another edition of the Women's Rugby Pod. I'm Johnny Hammond and Sarah Hunter MBE is alongside for this one. How are you, Sunter? You're looking rosy, tanned, refreshed.
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Fresh off the back of a week in Mallorca, which was very nice. Yeah.
Very nice. What? And lots of pina coladas, sitting on the beach, sightseeing.
Um,
What kind of a holiday person are you?
well, this holiday after a long season was very much a pool holiday. Like a few mojitos, nice sunshine, nice food. Yeah, didn't really do a lot.
So, are you beach or pool?
Well, a bit both. So we went down to the beach, but yeah, generally sat by the pool. Like I do like the sea. I grew up in the northeast. I can't not like the beach, can I?
No, I
Like
mean there's beach and then there's the frozen Arctic, which is what you're describing there in the northeast. Um, but great stuff. Well, yeah, you look well refreshed, and you've also been busy around the Jubilee weekend as well. I mean, I don't know for Ed Sheeran what the greater honour was, playing ahead of the Queen coming out of the balcony, or playing for Sarah Hunter MBE. Yet to have an answer on that, but Ed was good, was he?
Oh, brilliant. I took my 8-year-old niece, and I don't know who was more excited on the way, me or her, but yeah, we had a great time. It was brilliant. Like, I'd recommend it to anyone. Played all the old classics, it was the mathematics tour, so it was all the albums, yeah. Good sing along going on.
Because he does something with his album names, doesn't he, or covers?
Yeah, they're like divide, multiply, addition, hence why I think it was the mathematics tour, because it was from all the albums.
See what he's done there, clever
Yeah,
lad.
clever.
What some of his old classics like what?
The A Team, Castle on the Hill.
Don't know.
uh, Play it, go on Spotify or any other like devices that you want.
I thought I'd got her. I thought I got her. And how long have you been playing Ed Sheeran since that concert? Just literally concert on loop.
Yeah, I drove back from Newcastle, and then had a few songs on the way down, just past the 3 hours that it took.
Awesome. And how was your Jubilee weekend?
Yeah, like pretty chill. I was back home in Newcastle. We were meant to go to a fireworks display, when they were lighting the beacons on the Thursday night, but it got where it was raining, so opted out of that, unfortunately. And then yeah, ate cake as you would do. Yeah, so pretty chilled.
Absolutely, as you would do. Well, look, we've got a great show coming up today. Looking back at the Premier 15s final, we'll look at all the news from around the world as well, focusing on the Pacific 4 series which got underway as well. But it is Saracens who are champions of English rugby yet again. The player of the final and the player of women's rugby at the moment is Marlie Packer. She's joining us on the pod now. Marlie Packer, thank you so much for joining us. As those watching the WRP, it's fairly obvious you're in a foreign country. We can hear birds twittering away. The sun is shining. Thank you so much for joining us on what's clearly a day of holiday. Where are you?
I'm currently in Cyprus.
Oh,
So,
my word.
yeah, very nice.
Well, incredibly selfless of you to come on the pod. I understand you're in a meeting this morning as well. It just shows your commitment. Shows that kind of commitment that got Saracens over the line at the weekend. You sound like you're still a little hoarse. Where are you in terms of clouds? Are you sort of still up at 9, or are we generally floating back down?
No, I'm generally floated back down. Obviously, fantastic to get the result and finish the season like how we did. A lot of hard work's gone in behind the scenes from players and backroom staff to get the result we did. But yeah, we had a good night. It didn't party as hard as what probably a lot of us would have liked to have, but it's still really good. And then yeah, Saturday straight back down the ground with Oliver. So it brings me back to reality quite often.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. You, because I saw you after the final. You're going off to be drug tested, weren't you? Or was that the semi?
No, that was the final.
That was the final.
That was also a bit of a dip in it all, to be fair, because also in drug testing now, which I didn't know about, you're not allowed to take alcohol in. So Packer was on the water. So literally, I'd seen off a pint with Mo and Skaz doing an interview after with them. And then I was on this high. We went into the change room, did the Tickatonga song. I couldn't breathe because so much champagne and beer and everything got like chucked over me. And then I had to go out and do drug testing straight away. And usually I do drug testing. I'm like, yeah, I need a wee. I'm going to go. And I fill it right up. This time, no, measly a little bit amount. So I had to drink loads of water.
Oh.
I love the detail of it all. So, Molly, when you did get out of drug testing, what was the atmosphere like? Take us into that changing room. What you got up to afterwards? Obviously, what goes on tour stays on tour. But how did you guys celebrate and enjoy that moment in each other's company?
So I think first thing when I went back into change rooms, a lot of the girls decided that they were going to wear their kit out that evening. By this time, I was not about to do that because I just wasn't in the mood for that anymore. Like, I remember Georgie Evans, I looked at her, full kit, no socks out, and then these white high heel things. I was like, that is impressive. That's commitment to the cause, that is. And then just because it was me and May Campbell, we had a quick shower, got ourselves ready, and then got straight on the bus.
To where?
So we went to St Albans. We went to the beach house in St Albans, and then we got there, and there was a bit of an acoustic band going on there. It wasn't really my feel at the time, so we asked them to up their acoustic music to, liven the place up because we had walked in. And yeah, no, it was a really good night. And then we ended up in some club, and yeah, the trophy came with us everywhere.
Who was leading the way?
Party Pack.
Cleo.
Yeah.
I guess they probably Cleo to the nightclub, to be fair. I think I followed her. But it was a really good group of us. And yeah, my favourite there was May Campbell. She was going, I don't know, she was going somewhere, I think in France. She had to get the boat the next day. And yeah, imagine being on a boat when you didn't leave a club till 3, if not later.
Wow. You mentioned May Campbell there. I thought she was outstanding in the final. She's been outstanding the last few seasons. Where was that final one lost, Marlie? Now you've had a bit of time, a bit of sun on the face there, just to reflect. It was a game. Sunter and I just been talking just before coming on that very, very similar to the semi-final. Harlequins or opposition Exeter had ball quite early on. You rode that out, and then from that moment on, it was fairly obvious you were in the mood to take the victory. Where was it won and lost for you?
I think it was one off the pitch for me. Like, us as a group collective, we've come together, especially in this back end of the season. We've become a really close knit group, and I take my hat off. That's down to our coach Chippy, our forwards coach that came in this season. He's worked really hard with not just our on pitch stuff, but how we are with each other off the pitch. And I think we've been doing some things off the pitch together. And then on the week leading up to the final, we had a Sunday training session. Then we all had a barbecue around someone's house, around one of the physios' houses. And I just think that was kind of the synergy between the squad on and off the pitch is very special at the moment. And we got up to Worcester, and we talked about making Worcester our home because obviously StoneX is a place that not many teams come and beat us there. In fact, I think only Harlequins did that this season. So we talked about how we can make Worcester our home, and we did that. And if we went off course at any time or like people lost their way, then you could hear players saying it to each other on the pitch, like "come home," like. And it was just a little thing, but it really like came to the forefront for Saracens and each individual, I think. But like we talk about riding it out, I think the first couple of minutes Exeter had all of the possession. I think there was a great tackle that went in by McKenna and then won the penalty off the back of that. And then that was, I think, when we found our settle and we got our try not very long after that. I just think sometimes it takes a switch for us. I think if you watched our whole league, our whole season in the league, actually we're not a team that comes out and scores first very often. We like to seem to get our back up against the wall to make us switch to get into the game. And we talked about how not to do that in the semi and the final. And I think that there's moments in that first half that made us come out and do what we did. And that tackle by McKenna was one of those big points.
Oh, it was a massive turning point in that opening part of the game. After you scored that try, what was the feeling amongst the squad? Because Johnny and I were speaking before, and we felt it was pretty significant in in how the game like panned out, but I just wondered if there was anything within you guys as a group that after that try, how you thought the game would pan out.
I think obviously the first try is really difficult because obviously we had been under the pump for the first few minutes of the game. I think I scored, was it in the first 10? So it's still really early doors. But we need, I think the chat was like, we need to stick, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but we need to stick to the way we play and our processes. When we get into that 22, like, let's not try anything silly, but actually, you know, what we've been training for, what we've been doing, let's stick to that kind of stuff. But as much as we like ball in hand, let's make sure we play in the right areas. And I think that's something we nailed to the T. I think the stats from the semi-final showed that Saracens didn't have the ball hardly ever and Quins had the ball most of the time. But when we do get the ball, we play in the right areas and make sure we come away with points when we get into that 22. Yeah. And that's something that we're very good at. When we get into that 22, we come away with points.
I just thought, and Johnny and I, like, as soon as you guys had scored that try after like soaking up all our pressure, there was not going to be any other winner. Like, maybe that's just a viewer's perspective, but like watching it and then maybe knowing a bit about what you guys are as a group. But as soon as you scored that try, after Exeter had all that pressure, I was like, that's it, it's game done. Like, it's Saracens' final that are going to win. So just interesting hearing a player's perspective on the pitch, which is probably like,
yeah, I don't think at that point we thought we were going to win. If you asked me as a player, I went into that game and there was going to be no other winner than Saracens. Yeah. And I think like there was a load of talk about how well, and credit to them, they played amazing this season, and they've only been in the league 2 years, and like, take your hats off to them and Susie and the program they've got. But like, this was our 4th final we've been in. Like, we've won now 3 of them out of that 4. And the scoreline that Exeter put on Saracens when we went down and played at their place came off the back of like a long Six Nations period where a lot of our players went off and did other international stuff. Like, some of our foreigners went home for a little bit because obviously you miss home when you're away for so long. But like, Exeter played in the cup together. They won the cup, which is fantastic for them. But they put on that performance against us, but that was never true Saracens way. Like, obviously those players that went to Exeter to play that game, but like, we believed that they would do a job for us, but it wasn't true. Like, it wasn't true to us how we played then. And I think they may have thought in their head, like, we beat them and we beat them by so much then that we could beat them in this final.
Was there any hangover from you guys as a group to be like, actually that hurt? Like, I don't think anyone in the history of the Premier 15s has seen Saracens get beat in that manner. So I didn't know if that was fueling the fire on Friday as well in the final.
I think that you're right. There was a lot of fuel in the fire. I think for some players, I can remember I did an interview and Nay Campbell talked about after that game, it's the first time she felt embarrassed because of the way they played that game. And like, there's no need for that. Like, at the end of the day, I think there was bits that Exeter had put on social media and interviews and stuff like that. And we all know what Poppy Clear was like. She reads and sees everything on social media. So once she's seen it, that's it. We all know about it. Little bits like that. But look, for me, that final, we just knew we needed to make our rugby do the talking. And after that, then we'll see what happens. But look, we got the result. The way I see it, we lost against Harlequins in domestic season. We lost against Exeter in domestic season, but we made up for it in the semi and the final when it really mattered.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There's loads to pick up on there, Marlie. For me, I think your words about Exeter, quite an extraordinary rise. After 38th game or something, just bonkers to get to a final and compete at that level. But that leads me to my question. In those moments, and there were moments with Exeter, they just looked a little bit rattled, a little bit, don't quite know what to do. Every step you took as a team looked very, very assured. You knew the plan and executed it very well. How much do you think that experience, as you just spoken about there, of being in those finals, came to fore on Friday?
Yeah, I think so, massively. And we also know what it's like to lose in a final as well. And I think a lot of players, like, have never been in that situation in a Sarries shirt. Like, I think if we look over the years of the leagues, we've not lost many games. So actually, players knew that in a big end game now. So carrying that into our final, we knew where we need to stick to, what our processes are, and how we wanted to play. And we went and had team run the day before to make sure. And it wasn't our slickest team run. And, you know, people had not words with each other, but like there were still teething issues in some areas. But actually, it was about making sure that that basically on the day that we knew our jobs and that's what we were going to do, we didn't have to come off a plan to do anything special.
Chippy, Juan Figalo, Argentinian international prop, won everything there is virtually, certainly with Saracens, European and Premiership titles. What has he brought? Your big emphasis for me over certainly since you came back from the Six Nations, and you talk about that Exeter result, and I spoke to Alex Alsterbury, your coach, who said there was too much cotton wool out in preparation for that Exeter game, and you weren't physically right. So Chippy's obviously got you physically right, but it's the speed of the ruck and the identification of when to go through a middle of a ruck, of which you've done absolutely superbly. Is that something that Chippy's been working on? What else has he brought to the group?
I think Chippy is a massive character. Like, he comes from the men's game as well, so he's very much in touch with what it's like to be a player and a coach. So he just brings like loads of positive energy to us, because I think us as women rugby players, we can be very hard on ourselves and quite negative sometimes. And he's like, "Oh, I've been that, and like, I'm the next one," kind of thing. And he's just so positive about it. As in around the breakdown and stuff like that, he's done wonders for us. We work on like different aspects in training that we probably haven't worked quite like that before, which he's taken away from what the men do to bring it to us. I feel like the pick and go around the ruck, like we identified that was going to be a weakness of Exeter, because they don't put people in the ruck, so then their spacings around guard and bodyguards got to be on it, and if they're not on it, they're there for the taking. And I think if you look at the likes of myself, your Poppy Cleals and those kind of people, we love a little pick and go, like a real quick ruck, then play off of that. And I think both semis and finals, it worked really well for us, and we managed to get a couple tries from it. So, you know, I wouldn't say it's something that, you know, we've been coached into doing it. We have talked about it, we have said, and obviously the coaching staff identified a few players that are good at it to do it, and then really go from there.
Last one for me tactically on the game of rugby, or that. Well, yeah, in particular the semi-final and final. You spoke about the switch and just being utterly ruthless, and I think that's the key word is when you've got your scoring rate in the semi-final and final. I mean, I thought it was something like 5 visits and 28 points in the semi-final. It was even better in the final. Exeter scored a try just after half time. It was Jenny Detivo. You then scored 2 tries in quick succession, almost like you put your foot on the accelerator as and when you want. Where does that come from?
Oh, I think it comes from sometimes a little bit in individual genius, like Alicia's try, where I'm not too sure how she got through the line. Obviously, she did a little sevens thing where you let go of the ball on the floor, pick it back up and go through. But still, I feel like she should have got tackled there. That was a great try from her. But then also Mackenzie's try, when we came out straight from half time and got that try. That's the kind of thing, like, that's how you want to finish the first half and come out and straight away doing the second half. It's putting your foot on the throat and keeping it there. And as the second half went on, making sure that we keep pushing down, not letting off. It is my take on it. I don't know if that's other people's take, but that's the way I look at it.
I love it. It's so you.
So, Marlie, we've spoken a lot about Saracens and the team, but let's just have a quick chat about you. I know you're putting hand on your face, but honestly, another absolutely outstanding performance. Like, you've just backed up game after game after game, and not only that, I think got better like throughout the season. And like, you've always been an absolute quality player, but I feel for this year it's just been a standout year for you. Like, what do you pay it down to? Like, why is it this year over other years that it's been like consistent? Not that it hasn't been before, but do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
It's been a different
another level, different
yeah,
level you're playing at the moment, different level.
Like, it's really tough to pin it down to any one thing. I think like first and foremost is the players that you play around, whether it's when I'm playing for the Red Roses or playing for Saracens, like the group that I'm with that all put their body on the line for me and I do the same. I can't play the way I play without them playing the way they play. So that's a lot to do with it. And I guess my support networks as well, family and friends, like they've been great for me. And like I can go to them and talk to them about on-field stuff, off-field stuff, and they back my corner 100%. And I think like my performances are just due because I'm just me. I'm smiling on the pitch. I'm happy. I think when rugby's done at the end of the day, so I get back from training, then obviously like Oliver and that kind of life takes over, and when I'm back at work, then I'm on the job. And I think the switch to be able to do both, it's been really good for me. Maybe I'm obviously older now, and I would really care what the coaches thought of me, and I'd need to be in like the best like nutrition, S&C and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying I don't think and I don't worry about that stuff now, but I think like in the grand scheme of things, like I just need to let my rugby do the talking and stop worrying about stuff that I can't fully control. And as long as I'm playing well, then that makes them things controllable, I guess. So yeah, I think those things. And I was on an interview the other day, and I think just my outtake on life has changed since Oliver, and it's been a really positive thing for me, and I think that's really rubbed off in my rugby.
It was me asking after the final. But we got you on the pod as well. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was me. Because I think, I've looked on from afar, and known you for a while. As Sunter said, always pretty much one of the first people on the team sheet with club or country, but just gone to another level. I just wonder whether you're because everybody has bumps in the roads and 7s, 15s, flip flopping. Didn't see you as a sort of as happy as you could have been, but with third title in a row, player of the match, couple of tries in the final, Six Nations Player of the Year nomination, RPA England Player of the Year, and I mean the biggest accolade of all, you were number 7 in the WRP Scrum Queens team of the Six Nations. Which, honestly, that's right up there. But are you as happy as you've been for quite some time? And you talk about family and stuff there.
Yeah, real good. Like obviously, all of those accolades, like it's been an immense season, and yeah, I just think when you reel them off like that, it's really hard because I've got no words to explain it or describe it. It's just happened, but I've just been enjoying the ride, if you get me. And I get to do this with all my best friends as well. And like Sunter will know, like you're part of a very unique family, and you get to enjoy all these moments with people. It's not just about your own personal accolades.
Oh wow! What an answer to finish on. If there's a lesson for any girls out there, you get to the very, very top of the game, like Marlie Packer, World Cup winner, all the rest of it, and she's her big advice is to enjoy it. And do you know what? You're not too far off there, are you? If you keep enjoying your rugby and it's showing in your play. Marlie, please go put the towel on the deck chair if you haven't already. Go grab a pina colada. You put the feet up. You well deserve it, and thank you so much for giving us so much time on your holiday. Really appreciate it, and well done for everything this season.
No worries at all, Johnny. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sunter.
Bye. Have a great holiday.
Wow. Just everything about her. Talking about her when we've just spoken to her, but she just seems really, really comfortable in her own skin. And we spoke about there the 15s and 7s, and she flip-flopped backwards and forwards, but with the introduction of Oliver and partner and what have you, and just caring just a little bit less on the things you probably can't control particularly well. But even there in that interview, and I know you know her obviously incredibly well, and obviously I've known her through the years, so she's going to feel quite comfortable. And on holiday, you'd like to think she's quite relaxed. But even the answers and the consideration of what she was saying there, from my point of view, that's very, very different from 2, 3, 5 years ago. She just seems to be very, very happy in her skin, and that's possibly one of the big reasons as to why she's playing out of her skin. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's great to see. Like, obviously we've spoken about it. Like we've seen Marlie when she's not enjoying rugby, and I've seen that like firsthand playing alongside her. And you never want anyone to not enjoy what they're doing, and like it's just the absolute opposite at the minute. She loves being around camp, and I'm sure that's the same at Sarri. You can hear her from what she's saying about the first thing she said about it was won off the field, which I thought was really significant, you know, about just how much they were gelled as a squad and they enjoyed spending time with each other, and how much she was enjoying that. And I'm sure she's a huge part in that. I think the biggest thing, and we didn't get to ask her about, was about the leadership role she's taken on over the last couple of years, that like people look to her, people are inspired by her and how she plays, and she's just a natural motivator of the game, and like you can't help but be enthused when you're around her and when you see her play. And yeah, I think you can see that she's just happy in herself. She's comfortable of where she's at and how she's playing, and I think like I genuinely think like she's got so many years ahead of her playing at this level, I think, and I hope like she goes on to having an amazing World Cup, because like she's done it on the domestic stage, she's done it on the Six Nations stage, but to go and do that on the world stage at the World Cup, I think would be incredible for her.
This thing on in commentary, if you hear a swear word through the referee's mic, you have to apologise, because Ofcom is always listening. Yeah, we always have to do that. That's quite frequent when Marlie's near the referee, but I mean, just to speak and shout the amount that she does for an 80 minutes, let alone the physical stuff that she does, I can't quite believe where she gets the energy. You know, she's the other side of 30 now, isn't she? And I just wonder where she gets that energy from, and what is she like to play alongside? Is she, I would say, is this kind of energy ball that once in a while, whether it be in a huddle or whatever, metaphorically, you've got to plug into the energy ball, and that gives you the energy. Is that what it's like playing alongside Marlie Packer?
Yeah, firstly, I think she's fueled by Red Bull. She always seems to be having a can of Red Bull in her hand. So,
right, okay, yeah. We are open to collaborations.
Or any other energy drinks that are available. But no, on a serious note, like that's just naturally her. Like it doesn't matter what sort of session we're turning up for, whether it's a walkthrough type session or like a full smash session. Energy, Marlie will bring the energy at times. Like you have to rein her in a little bit because of what she wants to give all the time. But certainly, as a leader, I would use Marlie, or do use Marlie, like you said, like she's this natural ball of energy that will motivate people. But if we need, I don't know, someone to galvanize a team, and she does it so naturally that it's so authentic. And if we need that at that moment of time, you know, that real, like maybe just before we go in after kickoff, or maybe if there's been a down moment and you just need to give her a nod, or like, can you have her just say something, like whatever it is you want to do, because it'll come naturally to you, but it will galvanize, it will re-energize the squad, and it'll give us something that we need at that particular moment. And she's so brilliant at doing that, which is why I say she's taken on that leadership role as she's got older, maybe a bit more mature, knows how to channel some of this energy at the right time to get the best out of the team. But yeah, she's just a brilliant player and person to have in your team.
And I almost think that Saracens sort of embodiment of her, you know, very, very physical, know what they're about, very comfortable in what they do, high energy, and that never say die attitude. Just move on to Sarah's, because we didn't have a huge amount of time to hear your opinion on it. You know, in front of a record crowd for the final, that for me that was about as impressive as it got. Last year's final was different. I thought it was a real game of mental chess that Harlequins won, but over the last two games of Saracens, for me, that's about as impressive as a team have performed in the Alliance Premier 15s ever.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just thought they, like Marnie says, they were very ruthless. They had a ruthless approach about what they were doing. It didn't feel like watching certainly when Exeter had all that pressure early on, that they were that bothered about it. They were happy to make tackle after tackle after tackle, and then obviously McKenna put that absolute smashing tackle in that led to the turnover. And I just felt from that moment they just stamped their authority on the game, and they went down into Exeter's half and never looked back. That try, and I just felt at that moment, like I said to Marlie, it was that was the turning point. I didn't think, knowing what Saracens are about, and just seeing that Exeter just didn't seem to have what they'd had all season in that opening play, that actually Saracens were going to win, and they obviously did go on to do it, but the manner in which they did it, he talked about that breakdown. I just thought it was incredible. It's probably one of the best sort of breakdown performances I've seen from a women's side in the Premiership, and that allowed them to play the style we know Saracens can do. And I thought that the team generally, 1-15 or 1-23, played some of the best rugby we've seen them play as individuals, but collectively I thought they were really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned Chippy, Juan Fregalo. A lot of players talking about him, and obviously the influence he's brought in. I mentioned in commentary, Alex Waterbury has to have a bouquets thrown at him as well, just to bring in someone else, take some confidence. Like you were talking about leadership, Marlie's great at motivating, so I'll plug into that. And that takes a lot of confidence in your own leadership, to be able to do that and to entrust somebody else to do that. But Alex Waterbury, unassuming chap, but clearly a great rugby brain, and is able to get his team exactly where he needs to. But then utterly ruthless. Let's switch then to the other team, way down the other end of the spectrum. Exeter Chiefs. It'll hurt now, certainly, of course. They're professional small P players, but a week, 10 days time, they can look back and be incredibly proud of what they've done.
Oh, absolutely. The first non-London club to play in the Premier 15's final, it's not to be sniffed at. And I think they've had a great season. They've made Sandy Park a fortress. Not many people go down and win there. It's very difficult. And they've Susie has masterminded a team to plug into the Exeter Chiefs men's way, and the support that they've generated, and I genuinely think it's just the beginning of things to come down there, and that's what you want in the women's Premiership. You want teams to come into the Premier 15s to thrive and to move on, and it adds more competition, and it just adds that competitiveness across the league, which is where we want. And I think they will look back and they'll be disappointed. They won the Prem Cup, so they've got something to look back on and go, right, we've achieved this. They obviously had their open bus tour, which to celebrate their success as well, which again, from looking at some of the clips on social media, that was well supported, and it's great to see the club getting behind the women's team. So while losing a final always hurts, I do hope that at some point they do look back and go, actually, in our 2 years existence, this is what we've done, and hopefully it will kick them on to another level, and add that real competition that we need.
Yeah, and I thought there were some impressive performances for me. I just pick up one name. Ebony Jeffries, who came off the bench, was outstanding. And in amongst them, there's been lots of chat, and I don't think we need to get into it. A lot of players from around the world. I think Susie Appleby has done an outstanding job with the card she's been dealt. For her, it's a 5-year program to hit year 2. With a cup victory and an appearance in the final. It's absolutely superb, and with these under-20s players coming through, learning off the likes of Zachary and Cantona and Prachi Gathea as well, the little hero that she is. Exeter Chiefs' future is very, very bright indeed. Deserved winners then. They led the way the whole way, didn't they, Saracens? It was the top two that finished the league in the final, and in the end it was Saracens who came through. Let's get you up to date with all the rest of the news.
As we have been talking about, Saracens were crowned champions of the Premier 15s for a third time on Friday, beating Exeter Chiefs at Six Ways and Worcester. Our guest Marlie with 2 tries, May Campbell, Vicky Fleetwood, Mackenzie Carson and Alicia Corrigan all got on the score sheet. For Exeter, Flo Robinson, Jenny Dekibo and Ebony Jeffries.
Indeedy. So, love to know the viewing figures for it as well across the BBC iPlayer, and it was on BT Sport as well. And again, some nice camera angles and that kind of stuff. It looked really, really good, and we're now at the stage where the rugby is so good we can't afford to put it out there in any other form than really good high quality broadcast quality. So yeah, fair play to BT, massive everything crossed that there's some more involvement across the season from BT, who obviously the big rugby broadcasters in the UK. And of course it was the last game of her rugby career. Prachi Gathea, the Spanish international, she had a brilliant walking off the field and turned and gave a little bow to the game of rugby. That's how I sort of saw it as well. I caught up with her directly after the final just to talk to her about the final and her career very, very quickly. Look, it wasn't your day today for Exeter, but you must be incredibly, incredibly proud. That's the 38th league game that this side has played together. To get to a final, it's just quite incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Saracens played really, really well. I think congratulations to them. They have done an amazing season and also an amazing final. We couldn't defend as we have been doing. Their fast ball, even playing, gaining the line, but also playing continuity. We couldn't stop them, and also we didn't be really accurate in our opportunities, would say, okay, and they have been really clinical in their 22. So all the credit to them, but again, as you say, we must be proud of what we did, creating a team in the middle of a pandemic from zero, from nothing, and in 2 seasons just arriving to Allianz Premier 15s final and also winning the Allianz Cup. It has been amazing for the club, so it's something we must be very proud.
You've been a huge part of that. You've played in France, you've played in Japan, you've played in New Zealand. Where does the experience in England, which isn't over yet for you, I hope not anyway, where does it rank?
Well, it has been really pleased to learn from all these countries, all these cultures, and also all these ways to play rugby also, because it's quite different how we play rugby in England and how we play in New Zealand, in France, in Spain or Japan, So I'm just very grateful for the opportunity that bringing here to the English League. It was the last league that I played, that it was very, very in high performance, and I wanted to have a go with it, and hopefully achieving a very good level for Spanish country, and that we could finish in a New Zealand World Cup that we didn't qualify end of it. But I think for my career it's something that I'm very grateful for, all these opportunities, meeting incredible people, have a lot of experience around the world, and I'm just very grateful I got the opportunity to know and learn from rugby.
You're not going to leave the game. You're involved in the Exeter Academy. Is that going to continue for the foreseeable future?
Well, we'll see. They want me to stay. We're having conversations. We didn't decide yet. But anyway, if it's here in England or away, I hope that I can be involved. And my purpose is to give back to rugby all that has been given to me now off the field. And I will try to keep that with my charity, with my business project, and also hopefully maybe in a coaching or managing role. We'll see where, but close to rugby.
Well, look, from everyone in rugby, thank you very much for what you've done for the game, especially in Spain. You're adored wherever you go. I hope the camper van stays in the garage and you don't pack it up and move on elsewhere. I hope you keep you in England. Thank you so much, Prachi Gathea. Over to your club. Lark Davis just announced this morning, in fact, moving on after 3 years, 39 tries in 39 appearances for Loughborough Lightning, and she is off to Bristol. It's a bit greedy, isn't it? They've got Hannah West, who's a superb player. So they've got Hannah West now and Lark Davies. Shame to see it go.
Yeah, really sad to see it go, obviously, from a playing point of view, a friend point of view, a coach point of view, every point of view really. But she's been fantastic for us at Lightning, from everything that she brings as a rugby player, but more importantly what she brings to the person and the standard that she set for us as a programme. And She'll be missed massively, but I wish her all the success, and I think everyone at Lightning does, to go and be as great down there. Maybe just not when she's playing Lightning, but yeah, she goes with all our best wishes, and Bristol have got an absolutely amazing signing there. So I'm sure they'll be looking to go on from their semi-final spot from this year, and Lark will certainly help them do that.
Yeah, wait to see what other movements there will be around the Premier 15s.
In France, Stade Toulousain were crowned champions, beating Blagnac 16-10 at the weekend. 3-3 at half-time. Laure Sansou and Paulie Bourdon guided Toulouse to victory, coming back from 10-3 down.
And on Monday was the start of the Pacific 4 series. That's New Zealand, Australia, USA and Canada, all playing these games out in New Zealand. But it all kicked off, obviously, Canadian and USA, strong representation in that Premier 15s finals. Those guys got on a plane virtually straight after the game. But on Monday, Canada beat the USA 36-5, while New Zealand beat Australia 23-10 in Tauranga. Kendra Coxsedge, lovely little Kenj, became the most capped Black Fern of all time, winning her 58th cap. She got a penalty as well in the game. The rest of the starting 15 had 68 caps between them. Round 2 of Pacific 4 is on Sunday, with USA taking on Australia and Canada up against the Black Ferns. Both games are being played in Waikatere, which is just west of Auckland. Let's have just a quick chat about the Pacific 4 there, Sunter. Just pick up on Kendra Coxage. Really, really rough couple of years for her personally. Just delighted. She's such a professional. A bit like Marlie, you almost hear her before you see her. But for one of the smallest people that I've ever known to play the game of rugby, she has got a massive heart, and she's not short on ability either.
No, she's been an incredible servant to New Zealand rugby over the years. You know, like I say, a lovely human off it and a nightmare to play against it. Like, she's caused us some absolute problems over the years. She's won games for them. You know, she's been the heart of the team for a long time, winning World Cups, and yeah, it was great to see that she became the most capped Black Fern that there has been. It's a well-deserved accolade, and no doubt she'll get a few more caps over the upcoming months.
It's bonkers though, isn't it? What are you're knocking on 140?
Not bad.
Well, how many are you on?
134.
She paused there, ladies and gentlemen. She knows exactly. Because Rocky is looming in sight now, isn't she? 137. And she's been an absolute constant. I can't remember huge injuries that she's had over the last decade, 15 years. And yet she's only got 58 caps. That just shows you how much Test rugby, or lack of Test rugby, that the Black Ferns have had. And I hope that their home World Cup is going to be brilliant, and they perform well. Obviously not too well, certainly towards the latter stages as a fan, but it's that kind of thing that they need to get right, rather than just chucking big name coaches in. 23-10 for New Zealand, 4 tries. Olsen Baker, Bremner, Letty Lainga with a couple, Coxage, as we said, with a penalty. 7 new caps, I think it was. Not some of their bigger names. Were you surprised at the margin of victory? Actually, that's not a bad result all round.
I think they obviously came from 10-0 behind as well, I think. So I think it shows where they are as a squad, that they can, obviously after the autumns when they would have been disappointed, and when they went behind, they didn't look like getting back within the game. And obviously they've got back in the game, and then they've gone on to win. And I think obviously with new coaches coming in, they want to have a look at people, and they want to give people an opportunity with fresh eyes, and having 7 new caps and to get a win on the board, I think for them will be a massive step, especially after the autumn, and after everything they've gone through as well since the autumn, and the reviews that have taken place. And And I think obviously Australia had those 2 games, what was it, against Fiji and Japan, so they've got some rugby under their belt, whereas New Zealand haven't played since November. So I think they'll be, I mean, if I was them, I'd be happy with that rebuilding phase that they're obviously going through. They just need to accelerate that in terms of getting ready for the World Cup. But I think the big game for me will be seeing where Canada and New Zealand are at, and who comes out on top of that.
You know, it's 36-5 at the weekend, although it's difficult, isn't it? Because these were quite a lot of fringe players. I mean, Canada, De Merchant scored a couple of tries. Holtkamp, we know her from time the Premier 15s. Busa and Perry as well. De Goede kicking 3 conversions. Again, someone who's performed in the Premier 15s. Taufui for the USA's score. But they're going to be hugely bolstered. Canada, yeah, Totosi, Menin, Corrigan as well from Saracens. But the players, and I immediately go to Kate Zachary, Gabby Cantona. Those 2 will make a huge amount of difference to that USA team, let alone Foster Johnson, Hope Rogers, these kind of players as well. Kelter, oh my goodness, yeah, of course. They will be significantly boosted for their game against Australia.
Yeah, I think, obviously having the Premier 15s and the club, the country's allowing them to play in that, because they're huge games for those players, and I think shows where these games are in terms of like their preparation, and I think, but they can't go unnoticed that they had so many players missing from that, and it will certainly bolster them. It'll be interesting on the travel and seeing how quickly they get over jet lag, and how much obviously like the disappointment of the final has, or how much that motivates them to go out and play. But yeah, they will certainly add to both the USA and Canada teams, that's for sure.
So prediction then, USA against Australia.
I think USA might win.
I'm with you. Canada up against Black Ferns.
I think Canada might win.
Oof, no, Black Ferns. There you go. And we only have to look back at previous podcasts to know who's winning the prediction race this season. A lot of claps flying out as well, of course. Saracens co-captain. Huge to see how she gets on. But that's about it for another week, Sunter. Pacific 4 still going on. And I want to just do a roundup really of the season. I know we're sort of in line with the English season here for our listeners around the world, but just a little review of the English season, and obviously we'll try and get some reaction from the Pacific 4 as well. So yeah, we'll certainly bring you one more podcast before having a short break, but it's a busy old summer, isn't it? We've got Commonwealth Games, we've got World Cup Sevens, and then of course the small matter of a World Cup to come. But you can continue unpacking boxes. Just one shout out to Sarah Paris-Redding, sister, or twin sister in fact, of Georgie Paris-Redding, both Sale Sharks players. Sarah travelled 52 hours to see her sister play for the USA on the open side starting. Oh
wow, that's impressive. Dedication.
Isn't it just? You'd have a holiday off the back of it or before it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, anyway. Something. You'll need it.
It's a reasonably long way to go. So, yeah, fair play. So I hope you enjoyed the game and hope you enjoyed it as well, Georgie. There we go then. Thank you to Marlie Packer. It was fascinating listening to Marlie. She's in such great form, and long may that continue. You, as ever, Sarah and MBE, were in sparkling form. Thanks to Tom and to Vicky, and we will see you next week.
Bye.